Welcome to the Marketing Behind Rapid Growth, the podcast where we explore the strategies, decisions, and growth engines behind some of the world's most successful technology companies. Today, we're talking about Loom. In 2016, three founders were running out of options. Joe Thomas, Vinay Hiremath, and Shahid Khan had spent months building a startup called OpenTest. The idea seemed promising. Companies could connect with product experts and gather feedback from potential users. On paper, it made sense. In reality, it wasn't working. Growth was slow. Product market fit was elusive. Money was disappearing. The team had only a few months of runway remaining. For many startups, this is the point where the story ends. For Loom, it was where the real story began. Hidden inside OpenTest was a small internal tool the founders had built to record videos while collecting user feedback. It wasn't the main product. It wasn't the business model. It was simply a utility that helped the team communicate. But something interesting happened. Users loved it. The founders noticed that people seemed more excited about the recording tool than the marketplace itself. So they made a decision that would change everything. They stripped the video recorder out of OpenTest, renamed it OpenVid, and launched it independently on Product Hunt. That launch would become one of the most important moments in the company's history. Not because of the product itself, but because of how the founders marketed it. The launch that changed everything. Most founders launch products the same way. They publish a post. They wait. They hope. The Loom team did something different. Every time someone left a comment or shared feedback on Product Hunt, the founders responded with a personalized video message recorded using their own product. Think about what happened from the perspective of a potential user. Someone leaves a comment. Instead of receiving a text reply, they receive a custom video. Immediately, they experience the product's value. No demo required, no explanation needed, no sales pitch. The product demonstrated itself. The result was remarkable. Within a single day, more than 2,500 people signed up. The founders had discovered something that would eventually define the entire company. The best marketing for Loom was often Loom itself. The behavioral shift nobody was talking about. To understand why Loom succeeded, it's important to understand the environment in which it launched. Consumer behavior was changing rapidly. Millions of people were recording short videos on Snapchat, Instagram, and other social platforms. Recording yourself was becoming normal. Sending video messages was becoming normal. Sharing visual content was becoming normal. But inside companies, communication still looked very different. Long emails, endless Slack messages, complex documentation, and perhaps worst of all, constant meetings. The average professional spent enormous amounts of time communicating, yet much of that communication remained inefficient. The Loom founders believed something important. Consumer habits eventually become workplace habits. The same people sending videos in their personal lives would eventually expect similar experiences at work. That insight became the foundation of the company. The product insight. At first glance, Loom looks like a screen recorder, but that's not actually what made it valuable. Screen recording already existed. Many tools could record a screen. The problem was everything that happened afterward. Most tools forced users through a complicated process. Record the video, save the file, upload the file, wait for processing, generate a link, share the link. Every step created friction, and friction kills adoption. Loom removed almost all of it. The moment a user stopped recording, the video was available. A shareable link was instantly generated. The link was automatically copied. The user could immediately send it to someone else. This sounds like a small improvement. It wasn't. It fundamentally changed behavior. When something becomes easy enough, people stop thinking about whether they should do it. They simply do it. That's exactly what happened with Loom. Designing for product-led growth. Many companies talk about product-led growth. Loom built one of the clearest examples of it. The company understood a simple principle. People don't adopt products. They adopt solutions to problems. Every time someone used Loom, they solved a specific communication challenge, explaining a bug, sharing feedback, presenting an idea, training a teammate, providing context, walking through a document. Instead of writing paragraphs of explanation, users could simply record a quick video. The value became obvious almost immediately. And because the videos were shared with other people, every usage event created a potential acquisition event. That is where Loom's growth engine became truly powerful. The viral loop. Most software products require marketing to attract users. Loom's product naturally created exposure. Imagine you're a manager. A colleague sends you a Loom link. You click it. You watch the video, you see the interface, you experience the convenience. And suddenly you start thinking, I could use this. That is product-led distribution. Every shared video became an advertisement. But unlike traditional advertising, it arrived inside a trusted relationship. A coworker, a teammate, a manager, a client. The recommendation was implicit. The product was being demonstrated in real time. Few acquisition channels are more powerful than that. Why Loom delayed monetization. One of the company's most interesting strategic decisions involved pricing. For years, Loom resisted the urge to aggressively monetize. Many investors questioned this approach. Why give away so much value? Why delay revenue? Why not introduce paywalls earlier? The founders believed they needed adoption before monetization. A paywall would slow sharing. Reduced sharing would weaken distribution, and weaker distribution would limit growth. So they focused on building habits first. The strategy worked. Employees introduced Loom into teams. Teams introduced Loom into departments. Departments introduced Loom into organizations. By the time paid plans became a meaningful focus, the behavior was already established. This is one of the most difficult decisions for founders. Monetize early and risk slowing adoption, or prioritize growth and delay revenue. Loom chose the second path. The pandemic acceleration. Then came 2020. Almost overnight, remote work became the default for millions of professionals. Suddenly, the exact problem Loom solved became significantly more important. Teams could no longer rely on spontaneous conversations. Offices disappeared. Hallway discussions disappeared. Desk-side collaboration disappeared. Communication had to become intentional, and asynchronous communication became essential. Loom found itself perfectly positioned. A manager could record feedback instead of scheduling a meeting. A salesperson could explain a proposal through video. An engineer could demonstrate a bug without writing a lengthy explanation. A designer could walk through a mock-up visually. The product fit the moment, and growth accelerated dramatically. But importantly, the company had spent years preparing for that moment. The pandemic amplified an existing trend. It didn't create it. Moving beyond individual users. As adoption increased, Loom faced a familiar challenge. How do you move from individual users to organizational adoption? The answer came through Loom for Teams. The company expanded beyond personal video libraries and introduced shared workspaces, administrative controls, collaboration tools, and enterprise capabilities. Suddenly, Loom wasn't just a personal productivity tool. It became part of company infrastructure. This shift transformed the business. The product remained simple, but the economic model became significantly larger. Organizations were willing to pay for better communication at scale, and Loom was positioned to capture that demand. The arrival of AI. The next chapter arrived with artificial intelligence. By 2023, AI was becoming a competitive necessity across software categories. Loom responded by focusing on one question: how can AI reduce the work surrounding communication? Recording a video was easy, but reviewing it, summarizing it, documenting it, and extracting action items still required effort. Loom AI addressed those tasks automatically. Titles, summaries, chapters, action items, meeting notes, all generated automatically. The strategy was clever. Rather than asking users to imagine the value of premium features, Loom allowed them to experience the value directly. Many AI capabilities were introduced through trials and default experiences. Users felt the productivity gains before making purchasing decisions. This created a much smoother upgrade path. The marketing evolution. As Loom matured, it expanded beyond product-led distribution. The company invested heavily in content and search, but the strategy remained consistent. Meet users where problems occur. Someone searching. How to record your screen on Mac. How to give feedback remotely. video prospecting tools, asynchronous communication. These searches represented intent. People already had a problem. Loom simply became the solution. The company built dedicated landing pages for sales teams, engineering teams, customer success teams, marketers, designers, and executives. The product stayed the same. The context changed. This is an important lesson for growth marketers. Different audiences often buy the same product for different reasons. The message must adapt even when the product doesn't. Strategic lessons. So what can founders and marketers learn from Loom? The first lesson is that distribution should be designed into the product whenever possible. Every Loom video became a marketing asset. Every shared link became a potential acquisition event. The second lesson is that removing friction often matters more than adding features. The core innovation wasn't screen recording. It was making sharing effortless. The third lesson is that habits are often more valuable than revenue in the early stages. Loom delayed monetization because adoption was the priority. Once behavior became established, monetization became much easier. The fourth lesson is that customer obsession scales. Those early personalized video replies on Product Hunt weren't scalable, but they created advocates, and advocates create momentum. Finally, expansion works best when users experience value before paying for it. Loom's AI strategy demonstrates how powerful that approach can be. Conclusion. Loom's journey from a struggling startup to a company acquired by Atlassian for nearly $1 billion wasn't driven by a revolutionary technology breakthrough. It was driven by an elegant insight. Communication is easier when people can show rather than tell. The company built a product that solved that problem with almost no friction. Then it designed the experience so that every use naturally introduced the product to someone new. In doing so, Loom created one of the most effective product-led growth engines of the modern SaaS era. Its story reminds us that sometimes the most powerful marketing strategy isn't a campaign. It's a product people naturally want to share. This was the marketing behind rapid growth. See you in the next episode.